to code as leading it, and with the help of all the mentors, very senior people from all over the world who have participated in that and mentored startups. So I'll just take 15 minutes today to go over these introduction to the cohort and what we want to accomplish out of that. If there are any quick questions, I'll answer those, and then I'll have Vijayji start on one of the first modules that we will start on this accelerator cohort. So my background is I spent 23 years in startups. I'm located here in Silicon Valley, California. And out of these 23 years, there were 4 exits, 2 IPOs on NASDAQ, and 2 acquisitions. That's the experience that I bring in. And we started this activity, and many of these mentors here are very experienced people. We started this activity to share what we have learned out of our journey of startups so that the new startups can benefit from it. So it's all really to give back and see how we can help in terms of mentoring the new startups. So with that, let me just walk through a couple of slides. So this is a cohort is a 16 weeks, very structured mentoring program. This 16 weeks is something that we have designed, and additionally, sometimes we try to accommodate lectures from some successful entrepreneurs, somebody that can give you good insights. This is open to all Marathi entrepreneurs that meet specified criteria. When we started this cohort, launched it in terms of inviting applicants, we specified the criteria. We want to have companies which have at least got a minimum viable product, MVP, that is ready. And then we want more than one person as a team member. So there has to be a couple of team members who have been working on this for some time, and at least some initial grant or seed money so that they have done some work in the past. In this cohort, we assign mentors for every of the cohort company that participates in it. We try to assign 2 mentors actually, so that if one person is traveling or sometimes people get busy into their own schedules, that the second mentor can help you on. Geographically also that helps out, because some of our companies are located in India, some are located over here in US, so that having 2 mentors in 2 time zone also helps out. In this cohort, in these 16 weeks, we will have weekly presentation by subject matter experts. And these are really I'm really thankful that the mentors on this presentation are very experienced people. So I want all of you to take benefit of that. And one of the logistical item is just be on time. Maybe we log in 5 minutes ahead of the call, start at 6:25 p.m. PT time, Pacific time, so that we are really not wasting anybody's time and we utilize the 2 hours that we have on each weekend. In each of these topics, we'll have business assignments for each startup to participate. Take those seriously, because unless you do that, you're not going to get full benefit of joining this startup. We will also give guidance to build effective business pitch. It actually falls through the rest of the modules that we walk you through in every week. And at the end of the cohort, we have a demo day with investors. So that's where your business pitches start. And I know that many of you have mentioned in your initial form, the Google form that you filled out, that you have interest in investment, raising money. So this is how it's going to help out, that throughout these 16 weeks, you're going to walk through each of these modules. That data, that information, that guidance helps you to work on your business pitch as well as your execution of your startup company. And then eventually you will have access to GMG's network of investors. And that traction sort of carries forward, because all of these mentors that are on the call are people who are working with you, the assigned mentors, have their own network of investors, of partners, and so on. And everyone is here to help you, help all the companies. It's not just that each mentor is going to just help his assigned company. Every person, he or she, is going to help all the cohorts that are participating in this module. So highlights from previous cohort, we ran 3 cohorts so far. We have mentored almost 100 plus startups now. These are very global. Many of them came from Maharashtra, but there are Marathi people from other parts of world, Singapore, US as well, that have participated in the past. They came from wide spectrum of areas. So I just named a few over here: agri-tech, fintech, social networking, education tech, technology, healthcare, green tech. Very proud to see all this spectrum, the wide spectrum of companies and their backgrounds. And many of the people, of course, are domain expertise in that specific area that they have started companies. The goal here is not that necessarily we have the domain expert in each of your area. The goal here is these are business experts. The people who are mentors here, they bring in knowledge from what they have learned in different areas, but that could be as applicable to that business as what they have done in the past. And then, of course, we have so much of expertise here in terms of mentors, then it's possible that you will also get somebody who's a domain expert in your area. There's a global participation, has been in the past cohorts, and also in this cohort, we have that. There's no age limit. The youngest entrepreneur we had was just a high schooler, 17 years old. This was 2 cohorts ago. We have had a total of about 120 experienced mentors. It's not that every one of those 120 joins every cohort. On this cohort, we have about 30 mentors, and still we have assigned 2 mentors to each of the cohort companies. So there are spectacular success stories. I'm not going to take too much time here, but companies have raised successfully 100K to 500K US dollars of money in the past. One of the company was mentioned by Narendra Modi ji there in his Mann Ki Baat. There has been a lot of visibility to some of the companies that participated in the past cohorts. And Garze Marathi has also a lot of connections at government level. So we'll try to do everything. Garze Marathi will try to do everything in terms of helping all of you who are participating in this cohort. So in terms of the modules that we have, this looks like a complex picture, but essentially we start with business model and value proposition, which means that there is an idea that you all have as a startup company. But value proposition is more than just having idea. How do you really create value out of that to your customers? And how do you deliver that? So there are experts in this area in terms of customer person, and Sudhir Kale is there. He's from Australia. He's right now in Australia, very experienced person, has his own company. So all of these, and I'm just taking a few names here. Vijay Taraliji has been CEO of Incubation Institute, Bhau Institute at COEP. So he will walk you through some of the modules. Customer development, we have very experienced people. I'll give one of the presentation on IP. I have filed about 72 patents, about 50 patents are granted. So I have given webinars in the past on IP as well. Madhav Dapke is expert in the design thinking, so he'll talk about that. And then on the economics side, we have very experienced finance and economics people who will provide that. And for business pitches, many experts, again, from startup companies are going to give you that guidance. And we'll also bring in people who are closer to the investment level so that they see it from the other side of the table in terms of what needs to be there in your business pitch. And they'll give you feedback in terms of your first business pitches when you prepare that. And eventually with the demo day, you start on that funding activity in terms of as attractive a speech or business pitch that you can present there. So these are the modules. And with each of the module, there is this weekly program schedule. I'll post this. So I'm not going to walk through each one of those, but that's how in each week, we'll have a different topic. We'll also have, so we'll have a presentation or discussion for about an hour on that topic. And then there will be breakout rooms. So that breakout room session is about 1 hour. In that, we'll create about 5 breakout rooms. So 4 startups will go into each one together with mentors related to that startup. And in that breakout session, then you get to talk to really present your thing and so on. So there is more detailed discussion, more in-depth discussion, which is very closely related to your startup or the assignments that are given to you. So that's the idea, that each of the assignments in the breakout session or each of the breakout session discussion is related to the assignment given in the based on the past week's discussion and based on the work that you are going to provide, so that your mentors will analyze that and give you feedback every week on that particular topic. So that's the program schedule. This is the first 8 weeks, and then the next 8 weeks. That's how the 16 weeks are there. In addition to what's shown over here, we do bring in some very experienced startup founders. Startups in the sense they started as a small company but have been successful and become much larger companies. So they can also answer questions related to the journey, their help, what they have learned out of that, and share that with you. So that's and then the logistics of all of these 16 weeks. Attending all the weekly presentation is mandatory. We have chosen you, the startups that are part of this cohort, out of many more startups that applied to this program. Generally, 1 out of 2 gets chosen here. And there are many who wanted to be here. So please remember, keep that in mind, that that particular slot, you have taken that, and just make use of that to the most by attending everything, by presenting all the information that's related to your startup, related to the assignment that's given to you. There will be supplementary lectures, videos, papers that we will recommend. Again, we have done that in the past startups as well. Every time we try to bring in even more people, new people in here, in terms of those people who can give guidance. So that will be shared. We use a Slack medium. Dev Datta and Viraj, who are on this call, they help in terms of coordinating these sessions, starting the sessions, the backbone, in terms of whether it's a Slack, Zoom, and other platforms. So if you have any issues in terms of having access to Slack, or where the presentations are shared, in terms of accessing those, please send out email, or you can send a Slack message to Devdatta or Viraj, and work with your mentors. If some things are not clear, something is not accessible, you can always reach out to your mentors. We are publishing list of the mentors assigned to each of the startups. So you can always, I'm sure you will look at your mentors. Each company has 2 mentors, so that's not too difficult to remember. And please work very closely with your mentors. They are supposed to be your first go-to person that can answer your questions, other than the ones related to the infrastructure like Slack. That you can directly go to Dev and Viraj. So that's the logistics portion of it. The calls are 2 hours every Saturday, California time, from 6:30 to 8:30. Sometimes they go over by a little bit. I try to make sure that they're controlled to about 2 hours. Just because there are people from East Coast, like Devdatta is right now on East Coast of US. So by the time the call finishes, it's going to be almost midnight for him. And similarly, there are people from all over the world, and their time zones are all different. So again, we have to be very sensitive to that in terms of making sure that we stick to time, both in terms of the presenters as well as the startup cohort companies in terms of discussions. The breakout room and the lectures are very well structured so that we try to fit into that time slot. And that's how this structure of the whole cohort has been there. So for startup companies who are joining here, make sure that you join 5 minutes before the start of the call every week. And Dave generally has some way of making sure that all the startups are there on the call. And the reason I'm emphasizing that again and again is once you miss one cycle, once you miss one talk, nobody's going to repeat that. The concepts are sometimes harder. Some concepts might be easier for you. Some concepts might be too hard, like unit economics, finance side, the concepts. Some people struggle with that. And then it takes enormous amount of efforts to catch up on that one. And I'm just giving that as an example. Doesn't mean that the other topics are going to be any easier. But you are running your startup, so you have familiarity with some areas. You might say, oh, I already have this. I've already done business pitch, or I already have business model, and so on. But this process of systematically going through each of the business modules will help you to systematically organize what you have been doing or what you will do going forward. Because many times, even experienced people, somebody like even me, who's been there 20 plus years, learn something out of this, out of new discussion, get some new insight, and you try to incorporate that into what you're doing for your startups. So with that, I'm just going to stop here in terms of logistics. There might be some more, but I'll just leave a couple of minutes for questions, if there are any questions from any of the participating cohort companies. You can switch on your camera, you can raise a hand here, and we'll just leave about 4 to 5 minutes for that discussion, and then I'll hand it over to Vijayji.
So I think there is a question from Samir.
Yeah, go ahead,
Samir,
Samir.
you can probably go ahead.
Yeah. So one of the aspect that I also I need help on is legal. Is there any help available on that front?
Yeah, there is experience, there is expertise in different areas. Where are you located? Are you in India?
No. I'm in California. I'm in Fremont.
Okay. Yes, Samir. So I remember you. So there are some experts in that area, so they might help you. But if not, we will point you to people who outside can help you as well.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Any other questions?
So Nilesh, you can go next.
Yeah, thank you. Sanjay sir, my name is Nilesh. I'm basically from SCN Labs, Supply Chain Intelligence Labs. My question is whether our co-founders can also join these sessions and how they can also participate in this learning.
That's a good question, and good that I'm happy that you asked that question. I would encourage at least one more person in your executive team, your co-founder or somebody, to join, and you both will go into the same breakout session together. So that way you are both getting that feedback. And also sometimes, somebody runs into problem, there is some personal problem or something that if, for example, if you run into that, at least there's somebody who's representing your company. So just make sure that every one of you at least has somebody who can represent you while if you are not able to attend any call. Good question.
So the only extension is, in case if you are for whatever reason stepping out for a day, make sure that your partner stands in for you and completes the assignments or represent your company in that code. So we have had in this past, because all of you may be traveling for some business reasons or other way, but you should be in a position to stand in for each other. Okay, so while you are more than welcome to join, also have a responsibility, not to say that, however, but Nilesh was on leave, or Nilesh is traveling, so assignment is not complete. That's not going to be the case. Okay.
Got it, sir. Got it.
Are there any other questions? So it will happen, because all of you are running businesses, startup companies. It will happen that while you are going through this 16 weeks time, some business related deliverable will come up, and you will say, oh, should I do this or should I do that? You have to do both. You have to balance that out. That's the name of the game in startups, that you should be able to juggle multiple balls there. So just make sure that you're able to do that, because without doing that, you are not going to learn the best from this cohort. Okay, so you can always reach out to me or to the respective people. If there is a question related to infrastructure, reach out to Dev and Viraj. Or if you have a question about the cohort, you can reach out to me. And for respective modules that everyone is presenting, you can reach out to those presenters if you have questions on that. So we spoke about the first one, which is the business model. So Vijayji is going to talk about that. Vijayji is CEO of Karze Marathi. He's located in Thane. He was CEO of Bhau Institute Incubation Center in Pune, and has been very active member. He has been a presenter in our previous course too. So I'll just hand it over to him now. Vijayji, you can take it over.
Thank you, Sanjay.
So Vijayji, can I give a couple of points before you start? So I have only 2-3 suggestions to all our cohort members here. First is, see, Dr. Bhandari has already said that the 2 mentors you are going to get allocated. They are going to be your primary contacts and kind of the handholders throughout this 16-week journey. However, that doesn't stop you from trying to reach out to other mentors as well, but make sure that your core mentors are in loop in terms of conversation, because you may have somebody who is of your interest and you may have someone you need some very quick inputs on. Second thing is, I think all of you should connect each other on a LinkedIn by I mean it's given that all of now you are getting introduced here. Good idea to connect on LinkedIn and also subscribe to GMG LinkedIn handle so that you keep getting updates on what is happening by fellow members, what is happening with fellow companies, and so on. And third and last thing is that while mentors and you formally will meet a week over week, so say Sunday to Sunday or Saturday to Saturday, depending upon which time zone you are in. But my humble request will be between you and the mentors. I think it is not a weekly affair. Feel free to reach out to your core mentors, so whoever two mentors you are going to get allocated, as frequent as required to complete your assignments, to have any conversations, and I can guarantee you on behalf of all other mentors that they will find some time. It's obviously, I mean, you have to find out a way, be it on WhatsApp, be it on phone. I'll leave it to each individual teams and individual mentors to find out a way. But it is a good idea to stay connected and keep updating the progress, keep getting feedback, and build that long lasting relationship. That's very important. This is not a formal class where you go and see people 16 weeks and then and goodbye. That's not the case. The point is here, our 3 years back, whichever cohort we had, those companies are still with us, and then those are the kind of a relationship we are expecting you to build it over a period of time. Okay, so that was my only suggestions. And I welcome all of you to this court. Great to see everyone. And Vijay sir, over to you.
Thank you,
Thank you
Madhu.
so much. Yeah.
So before I start actually on the business model canvas, welcome to all of you for this fascinating cohort of the Marathi. We are really happy to have all of you. And as Madhav was saying, it is going to be a continuous engagement, not just for this 16 weeks. Before I get into the actual presentation, wanted to know if all of you have been on Slack platform. How many of you are not on the Slack platform? So mention that. So work with Dev and ensure that you are on a Slack platform, because entire communication that is going to happen one-on-one between you and mentor and some of other mentors, as well as the presentations, assignments, everything is going to be on a Slack platform. So please ensure that you are on a Slack platform. Also, yesterday night itself, which is like India time yesterday night, we have already uploaded the mentors for each startup. So I am hope each one of you have seen that spreadsheet, and you know who your mentors are. Connect with them individually, as well as connect with other mentors, as Madhav was talking about. So let's start with our session. So we are already 8:28. So I'll try to see if we can complete in half an hour. I'm going to make it more two-way communication, even though it is difficult on a Zoom platform, but we'll make it a two-way communication. The reason being, I think this time in a cohort, I think we have selected the startups which are a little more matured. So some of these concepts, some of you startups might be already are aware of. Okay. So why don't we let's start with a presentation. Let me share my screen. Is my screen visible to all?
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you. Okay. So before I get into this thing, just a brief overview about myself. I have over 31 years of corporate experience as top management executive in the IT global services. I was heading delivery in most of the IT of global organizations, and as a part of delivery, I was managing the profit and loss of entire delivery organization. And As some of you might know that the delivery organization in the IT industry is almost 90% of the entire workforce of any organization. And I was managing the P&L functions for like pre-sales, domain practices, global resource management, quality assurance, and customer partners. I was CEO of an incubator, startup incubator, COEP is Bhau Institute, for almost close to 5-6 years. And right from the kind of inception I was there, so I could really build it to the stage where it is today, and I'm very happy with the overall progress and the way it is further moving ahead. On the other than Garje Marathi and Bhau Institute, I'm a mentor for startup seed spark cohorts. Together, 222, 23 cohorts, which are like a joint venture between School of Business in Canada and Startup India. I'm a member of startup evaluation panels of EIR multiple schemes at 4 and other incubators other than Bhau, and also a panel member for AICT and FIIT Delhi. With Garje Marathi, I've been working with the last 4 to 5 years, been core member for all the cohorts. I'm also program manager for the Garje Marathi Excellence Summit that we had in July. I have a BE Mechanical from VJT and MTech from IIT Bombay. Now let's get to the business model canvas. How many of you, I think it's once I do that, it's difficult to see each one of you. Okay, how many of you have actually are aware of a business model canvas? Can you just put it on the chat or maybe mention that, so at least I can see how many of you are, or let me put it differently, how many of you are not aware of a business model canvas? Can you just put it on the chat? Somebody who is not at all aware of business model canvas, what it is, out of the entire all the startups that we have on the call. Please put your name in the chat, and don't feel bad that you are not aware, because hi Samir, thank you Samir. Who else? Kedar, great. Danish, Bhushan Ambedkar, okay. So at least almost 20% or 20-25% of our startups are saying that they are not aware. I'm sure they would have heard the term business model canvas, but they are not. They may not have worked on it in detail or this thing. Basically, a business model canvas, is it a static document or is it a dynamic document? Does it have to? Do we have to do it at the start of the cohort, start of your startup, or you continue to revisit it and continue to modify it, refine it? What does some of the startup founders who have been part of this cohort, uh, uh, as well as who know that business model canvas is there, they are aware of it, feel that it is a static document or is it a dynamic document? Okay, great. I think most of you are right. It is a dynamic document. It is not a static document. So I want to remove one misconception that some of the startup founders have, is that business model canvas is a dynamic document and you need to revisit it at every now and then during your startup journey. It is basically a very important strategic management and entrepreneurial tool. Basically, whenever you want to explain your business, entire startup idea and the business to somebody, whether your team members, whether your investors, whether your partners, whether your channels, I think you will need to use this, because this can easily explain the entire your business in one page. Okay, it has a 9 building blocks. Okay, so the out of these 9 building blocks, some of them are next 3-4 slides. I will explain you how the business model depicts different perspectives of a business model canvas and what it represents. It represents different views. Okay, we'll talk about that. Okay, first let's look at this 9 building blocks. Okay, So these are the 9 building blocks. One is value proposition is the number one, customer segments, customer relationships, channels, key partners, key activities, key resources, cost and revenue. Can you tell me which blocks are customer centric blocks in this, or the front, like normally a business has a front side and a back side. Back side is where the kitchen is, where you actually do deliver the stuff, okay, or you prepare, you develop, you prepare and this thing. And there's a front side which is a customer centric. Which blocks from this are customer centric? Right side, okay. Value proposition, channels, right? That's right. So customer relationship, perfect. Okay, so if you look at it, this is the front stage and the right hand side block, which is represented by the mostly the 4 quadrants or 4 blocks of business model canvas. One is the customer segments. We will go into each one of these blocks in detail. Customer segments, one is the value proposition, the channels and customer relationship. And the revenue stream also is because the customer is paying you the revenue, okay. So that is also part of a front stage. That is what called the front stage or right hand side of a business model canvas. Exactly similarly, there is a left hand side of the block which is kind of called as a backstage, or the left hand side, which is all the cost elements, the key activities, the key resources, the key partners who help you to deliver the value, okay, where you actually design, develop, test, and actually it's kind of a what we call a kitchen, where the backstage, where you do everything and then you deliver it to the customer. Now let's look at a different perspective of the same business model canvas, okay. Okay, this is the same business model canvas. Now, again, I will, the reason why I'm trying to make it more interactive, this session, is because I think there is a 50-60% of our startup founders have gone through this, and that will help, because me asking these questions and you answering will help the other startups also to understand more. So out of these 9 blocks, okay, which blocks or the right hand side blocks, like customer relationships, the customer segments, the channels, and the value proposition, or what do they actually represent? Can somebody, any one word, what do they represent? Anybody? What do these blocks represent?
The offering of the.
Okay, what else? These
So
blocks,
I think,
like where the 4 blocks, what we talked about, right hand side blocks, customer relationships, customer segment, channels, and value, what do they represent? Let me see. Revenues, okay.
So I
No,
think, I mean, I think each block actually has multiple maybe layers. So customer segment is, basically your segments or customers you are targeting. Second is maybe customer relationship, which is whether it is, high touch point relationship, low touch point relationship, all those stuff. And third thing is channels, like, how exactly you're reaching out to your customers,
right.
like detail strategy and all. I think majority of it will cover,
Okay. Mayur says demand. Yes, basically what it represents is, okay, the answer is desirability. What your customer desire, okay. So these 4 blocks actually represent desirability. What do your customer want and why do they want? Okay. So the reason why I'm trying to explain this in a different way is because if you look at, there's a customer desire, which is what you are trying to provide it to your customer, okay, and this is exactly is represented in these 4 blocks. And how, we'll come to next stage. The second last, the 3 other on the left hand side, key partners, key activities, key resources, like a desirability, it also gives another perspective, or it represents different perspective, that is called whether viability, no, sorry, feasibility, okay, whether it is feasible to develop this value proposition. Can we build it? and how do we build it. And the bottom two, cost structure and revenue streams, represents your viability, whether your startup is a viable proposition. Will it ever become profitable and why? Okay. And that's why the cost and revenue has to be aligned. And one way to do that is we will study that in our unit economics and financials of startups. There are two major concepts that one needs to look at. It is a CAC and a lifetime value. Okay, customer acquisition cost and the lifetime value. How are they aligned? Is the lifetime value more than the CAC? Is the CAC more than the lifetime value? That will define whether it's a viable business or not. Okay, so this is another representation of a business model canvas. It represents what customers desire, whether we can build it or not, and whether it is viable or not. Now, in the next slide, what I'm going to talk about it is, while this is represented, these are the very important aspects of a business for any business. How do you take care of this? What are the risks and how do you mitigate those risks? In one sentence, okay? So desirability, if you look at desirability, how do you mitigate this risk? If there is whether it's a desirable or not, okay? It can be done by a design thinking and adoption, like customer discovery. What do the really customer wants? Okay. And the design thinking, applying design thinking principles to that. I think Madhav will be covering that in the next week. Is what do the customers want and how do you find it out using customer discovery? So why feasibility? What is the risk of developing it? Is it really technically feasible to develop it? Okay. And how do you mitigate that? Is it basically represents a technical risk. Can we build it and how do we build it? So a proper technology, a well-defined process, okay, you will be able to take care of the major issues associated with technical risk. And the viability, I talked about it briefly about a couple of minutes back. How do you take care of the viability is how do we make money, the unit economics, what we talked about, the CAC and lifetime value, okay? That's what is basically unit economics and how do we make money? And that's a business mix that you are taking care of it. And once you are able to take care of all these three aspects of a business of your startup, which is the desirability, the feasibility and viability, you get a triage, which is your innovation triage. Okay. And that's where you have to hit. That's your bullet that you have to hit, the target where you have to. So you need to ensure that your startup is just not customer centric. It is not that you have a perfect technology. Okay. It needs to be a customer required technology. It needs to be what customer wants, as well as it needs to be a viable from the economics perspective. Now, there are two more representations of a business model canvas that we will see before we jump into each of the building blocks. Okay, again, we came to the same 9 blocks. Now, in this representation, we normally talk about who, how, why, what. So this is exactly what this represents. Oh, sorry, this is one more. This is a value map of business model canvas. So in a value map, you actually value proposition defines what is your promise. During the slide of value proposition, we will define what are the different ways you can define a value. Okay, a better product. That's the quality of the product. Faster, cheaper. Okay, something unique. So these are the different ways you can define a value. So that's a value proposition. Okay. Then the 3 blocks, the customer segment is these 3 blocks depend value creation. Okay. You create the value for these 3 blocks, which is customer segment, customer relationship, and customer channels. You actually deliver the value chain through the other 3 blocks, which are key partners, activities, and resources are the value chain, which help you deliver the value. And the value capture in the cost and revenue structure, basically the unit economics and financial viability, you actually value capture. So This is the value map of a business model canvas where your value proposition, who are the customer segment who consume that value, who are the blocks which help you to deliver that value, and which are the blocks to help you to capture the value. Okay, so these are the different way of representation. The next one is what I talked about: who, how, what. Again, this is exactly what value you provide, how it is delivered, and price what customer pays. Okay, this is the next block where we talk about who, how, what, and those things. So what is your value proposition? Who is your customer segment? Who are your customer segment? It could be one or multiple customer segments. How you deliver the value to them, or how do you relate to them? What channels do you use? How you deliver, how you develop the value using your resources, the activities, and partners for your delivery value chain, and why you do it, which is your viability, because you want to make money, you want to make your startup profitable, and that's why it is. So these are few of the different perspectives. Now, in this, there are two blocks which are extremely important, which is what is the value proposition and to who you are delivering. That is the customer segment. And you might have heard the term called, we'll get into that. So before we get into that, I will come back to this same slide again. Let's look at, I think some of you are already a matured startups and been in the startup journey for few years. So you know why startups fail. The majority of the startup fail not because of they are run out of the cash, okay, but the other two major reasons are no market need and not the right team to execute. Okay, so if you look at the major top three reasons, one of them is naturally cash is one of the reasons, but no market need is the top reason. Okay, similarly, the other chart that also specifies the same thing is something that you deliver. You build something that nobody wants. Okay, building something that nobody wants is the main reason of a startup failure. Okay, or hiring poorly. So team is very important. Lack of focus, execution. Both these represent the execution. Fail to execute. So if you look at it, 2, 3, 4, 5, it is more like fail to execute. Okay, so you might have a great idea, but you are failing to execute. You also know that the customer wants it, but you are not executing on right time. You are not getting the product out on the right time. You might then invite the competition, which might be much faster than you, and actually take up your part of your pie. Okay, what is coming out in these two charts is the market need and the customer, what customer wants is extremely important, and that is what is called the product market fit. And we'll come back to the same chart, what we looked at it, what and how, who, what I was trying to talk to you. These are two important blocks. Is we looked at one of the major reasons is there is no alignment between the what is your value proposition and what customer wants. Okay, and this is exactly what is the product market fit that you want to achieve. This you can get it through. We will discuss about the another concept called value proposition framework. Okay, and that value proposition framework, we'll talk about it as a value proposition canvas, which will help us to define what do the customer wants and how your product can provide that. I think part of that will be taken by Dr. Sudhir Kale, which is about job to be done and the customer journey, and some part of that we will have Sudhir Kale cover it before value proposition canvas. So why we might swap that sessions a little bit. Okay, and the financial viability. This is again CAC too high and production cost too high. These are the startup failures. But one of the major reason is this, and we will ensure that your product market fit is there through this value proposition canvas. Let's go to the last representation of this thing. I think no. I think let's talk about the other reasons. While we talked about the reasons, which is the product market fit not there, or you are developing something that customer do not want. But even if you develop a best of the business model, okay, there are some things which are outside the box of this business model which can impact your startup journey. So I have listed few of the points here, which you need to also take care of it while you look at the business model canvas and you work on the business model canvas. You also need to look at some of these aspects which can help you to ensure the failures are minimized. Okay, and you take care of those risks. Some of these are globalization, external factors mostly. Okay, globalization. One great example is globalization and how it impacted us. Okay, is your COVID. It is a global scenario. Okay, and something happens in outside the countries, and when because of the we all people travel everywhere and all these things, it impacted entire global. Or there is your startup idea itself can be a global, and there could be a global impact from different countries or different geographical regions, which can help you, which can ensure, which can create a issue for you. Okay, change in regulation. It could be local, like if you have a startup in India and we are focusing mostly on the business in India, and let's take a drone startups. We had a drone startup 6 years back, which is one of the top 30 drone startups in India or in the world maybe. Okay, and they could not do their business in India at all because there were no drone regulations in India. Okay, so they had to start building their customer base outside India for last few years. So these are the regulations. But now with the change in the regulation of drone technology and drone regulations in India, they can certainly start building their customer base in India. Emerging technology trends. Nowadays, if you look at it, AI, AR, VR, XR, machine learning, some of these technology trends are also changing the entire behavior changes, how customer wants to look at it, what customer want to make it automated way. Okay, so these are the factors which may not get reflected in your business model canvas. Existing competition. None of the building blocks of business model canvas talk about the competition. Okay, so that's one of the reasons that these are some of the things you will need to relook at it outside the context of the business model to ensure that your startup footing or the foundation on which you are building your startup or your journey is completely risk free or kind of reduced risk. Okay, while we talk about everything else, I talked about there are, if you look at the previous slide, those two charts that I looked at where the startup fails, one of them is execution is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So execution is everything. Okay, so you need to have a right team to execute. That's extremely important for your startup journey, startup to be successful. Okay. Now what we will do? We do a time check. Oh, so what we will do is we will go very quickly about each of the blocks. Okay. For those startups who do not have, who do not are not aware of this business model canvas, you can also look at a strategizer. Okay, which talks about in detail on the internet, and you can go through their strategizer notes, which will give you perspective of this. While I will try to cover the each block detail, but we may not have that much time to cover. Okay, now let's talk about quickly the customer segment. Now here we are not talking about each of your startups may not have one customer segment, may not have only one customer. You might have multiple customer segments. So you also need to define, you also need to understand how do you segregate your customer segments which are distinct from each other. Okay. And customer segment is the entire heart of any business model. Okay. So because they are your consumers, they are the ones who are paying you for your services or your product. Okay. How do you ensure that they are distinct? You try to define a customer segment which has a common needs, common behaviors, common attributes. So that is called customer profiling. And with some design thinking principles, you can actually get to your customer discovery and define your customer segment. Okay. The main thing that to remember is common needs, common behaviors, common attributes that customer wants. And where it will be useful to you is when you are developing your product market fit canvas, which is a value proposition canvas. The needs are different for each customer segment, even though your product might be same. Your solution might be same, your services might be same. The needs for each customer segments are different. Let's take an example like Amazon. If you take an example of Amazon, Amazon has a customer segment as you and me, which are the consumers who actually buy on. They have a customer segment which is the suppliers or the vendors who supply the products to Amazon. Okay. If you look at these two customer segments, their needs are different, their behaviors are different, their requirements are different. Okay. Even though the product Amazon what provides a platform is same for both. Okay. So I think that's how you need to define your customer segment, which is a distinct for each of your startup product and solutions. It will be a distinct product, distinct distribution channel. You can also think about when you defining a customer segment, whether does it a distinct product, is the distribution channel different for them, is there do you develop different relationship with them in a different distinct way, are they willing to pay differently for each of the product, okay, of their service or product. So these are the other ways you can also define your customer while think about while defining your customer segment. Okay. Then type of customer segments. I think I will not go into each one of these in detail, but there are mass market, niche customer segment, segmented, diversified, and multi-sided platform. The example of mass market is any B2C product. Okay. Niche market is like a very, very specific to a specific industry or specific need, auto ancillary. Segmented means a same customer, same product, or like a bank providing services to regular customers and NRI customers and HNI customers. Their services will be differing. Their products will differ. Or diversified like Amazon AWS, where Amazon as a platform also and Amazon AWS is a completely different customer service offering, and it's a completely unrelated customer segment to Amazon platform. Okay. Multi-sided is a like credit card company. Okay, where for a credit card company like Mastercard or a Visa, you also have you and me as a consumer who use the credit cards, who buy their cards and who use those cards. But there are merchants who also are the customers of a Mastercard and Visa who need to subscribe their merchant establishment on these cards. Okay, companies. So there are two different sides of a same coin. Okay, that's what is called multi-sided platform. So these are the different ways you can define your customer segment, or you can think of customer segments differently. Now let's talk about channels. Okay, before we get into channels, there's value proposition. I talked about the value proposition. We will. Okay, the value proposition is something unique that you are providing to your customer. Okay, it's a bundle of products and services that you create value for your customer segment. Now there is something called customer. Normally, a lot of times I have seen startups they define their uniqueness. If you ask them what is your USP, they talk about oh, my startup has this is a feature. Okay, but there is a very different, distinct thoughts or concept behind the feature, benefits, and value. Okay, what actually customer is paying for is not for your feature, but it's for the value that customer gets. Okay, whereas the features result into benefits and benefits result into value. So you need to be aware of this, that there is an alignment or there is a relationship between features, benefits, and value. But when you're looking at from the value proposition from a customer perspective, it is the value that you deliver. It is not the features that you deliver. Okay. Take an example. You are like a cell phone. Okay. A cell phone might have a great technology feature, but you are trying to sell that cell phone to a general public, and you are pricing it at a lower brand of a customer segment, like a for cell phone value. Okay. So in that case, that feature may not be used by that customer at all. So that it doesn't have any value to that customer. Whereas or take an example, you are buying a car which is a Honda City or a Honda, and you are buying a BMW or Jaguar. Okay, the features are different, but the value that it provides to customers is also very different, and the customer segments are very different. So I think the point to remember, look at it is you need to ensure the value that you deliver to the customers and not the features. And even your presentation, you also need to in your speech, the more and more you focus on value that you deliver to your customers, I think that resonances with your the audience. Okay, the value proposition is why the reason why we have customers. These are some of the very basic things. I don't think you can read it, and I will anyway put this presentation as a PDF on the Slack platform. So how do you define a value? Okay, how there are different ways. You can have a newness, something new offering, improved performance, a customized product, a completely new design aspect, low price, as I said, cheaper, better, risk reduction. You are reducing some risk for customer, easy accessibility, convenience and usability. These are some of the ways you can define a value. Okay. Uh, we will come to when you talk about value proposition, right? That time we will look at how you can define a value. When you talk about this is the value proposition canvas, we will discuss in detail in the third or fourth session, where you have a job to be done, which will be covered by Dr. Sudhir Kale, and the customer jobs and customer pains and customer gain, and how does your value map, your product map matches this, and how these two blocks are fit to each other. And based on this value proposition canvas, you can actually create your value proposition statement. Now, we also call it as an elevator speech, where sometimes when you want to explain your startup concept to anybody, okay, and they say, "Oh, what is your startup is all about?" So you have kind of a one, two statements which can easily describe your startup idea, okay, and you can actually build that startup the value proposition statement using the canvas. And how do you build it? Will is your product and services, which is on this canvas, is our product and services help your customer segments, which you are defined in the BMC, who want these jobs to be done by, we talked about the pain relieving work, like reducing, avoiding customer pains, or by providing gains, which are the like increasing, enabling customer gains, which come from here, and unlike your competition. So this is your competition coming into, like, unlike your competition value proposition. So this is how you can build your statement. This will anyway, this will be an assignment for you in your after the VPC. This. So let's talk about channels. I think Nilesh was talking about this exactly the right thing. Where channel is, how do you reach out to your customer? Okay, during the customer buying journey. Normally, channels are reach out to a customer during your there is a customer buying journey, and there's a customer lifetime journey. Okay, I think Dr. Sudhir Kale will cover that also to some extent. Is there's a difference between buying journey? There are three or four concepts that come in a buying journey, and there are the 4 or 5 concepts come into the your customer lifetime journey. Okay, but this is what we are talking about. How do you reach out to your customer? Okay, there could be, this is a communication channel, distribution channel, sales channel, and there are different channels. Okay, these are the phases. As I said, there are channel phases, which is the buying journey. Is normally you have awareness, valuation, purchase, and actually delivery and after sales. So uh, during these channels, what do they do? You need to ensure that your customer is aware of your product or service. So how do you make aware? There are different mechanisms. You have a social media marketing, marketing channels. That is what marketing. How do you reach out? How do you make your customers aware of your product or your service? Then how do you help them to evaluate it against some specific defined parameters? So that is a different way of channel phases. Third is, how do you help them to purchase it easily? Is it a complicated process to purchase it, or is it a very easy process to purchase? What is the, how do you reach out to your customer for purchasing, for when they want to purchase the product? How do you deliver it to them? This is, comes the logistics come into picture here. And immediately after sales, how do you help them in the installation, commissioning, or any other initial teething issues, the teething problem? So these are the different areas that one has to look at it when you are defining your channel. Okay. And there can be different channels, direct, indirect channels, which is your either own your sales force, your own sales team, okay, your own website, your own store, or you can even do through indirect channels like wholesaler, the entire wholesaler, distributor, supply chain, okay, or your partners who can help you to even sell. Franchisees can be also be a indirect channel. Okay, these are different ways you can look at it. And this is the customer buying journey. This is again same thing, AIDA, awareness, interest, desire, action. Okay, where what happens is you make customer aware. You have to create an interest in the customer's mind about your product, and that's when evaluation and interest goes hand in hand. Then the customer himself desires to buy it. So there is a purchase and delivery comes into picture, and actual delivery, that is the action, and after sales, that is a part of the action. So there is a AIDA model for customer buying journey. Okay, this is one sample chart which kind of gives you some perspective of what is the type of channels that you will use for different kind of your startup idea or your type of business. Okay, if your business is B2C, okay, which is a large customer base, the consumer base is very high, so the number of deals per month is thousands, like 1,000 deals per month, like 1,000 times people buy it, or 1,000 consumers buy it. Okay, in that case, you can think of web sales, online sales, like platform Amazon, Flipkart, and some of these platforms, or you are throughout directly from your website. Different models like premium model, free and premium, initial free part uh, functionality free, for they want advanced features, advanced value, then they pay premium for that. So these are the different models. So there you use web sales, online sales, and this thing where your B2C and the customer segment or customers are very high. Okay, as you go on, inbound, outbound, where normally this is inbound. Inbound means customer reaches out to you. So rather than you reaching out to customers, you have a platform, you have already done the created awareness in the market, and customer comes to your platform to buy. Okay. Outbound is where you have to reach out to the customer, but these are not the like a B2C. It could be B2B or a very niche B2C. Okay. Like Mercedes, if you are selling Mercedes or BMW, it is a B2C, but it is again a B2C, very niche segment. There you will have to outbound. You have to do the inside sales people to reach out to the customer base. Okay. And when you are a B2B model, which is a very minimal deals per month, like 1 or 2 or 5 or 10 deals per month, you need to have a channel of local salespeople or field salespeople. So also you can look at this. For the B2C model, your per contract value will be quite low. Whereas the number of customers or number of deals will be very high, the per contract value will be very low. And for a B2B, your per number of deals will be low, but the per contract value could be $100,000 or $50,000. Okay. So, and for that, you need to have a targeted channel. You cannot just have a generic channel. So you need to have a local salespeople, field salespeople who will actually go to the customer, explain them what your product and service is all about, and try to win that. Inside sales is like normally you have also outsourced companies which have a salespeople who will do a standard narration. You define a standard narration. They will call 20 CEOs or corporates on organization and tell them about what your product is all about. Okay, that's the inside sales team, which will keep calling the number, and then you look at how many gets converted to actual. So this is one way to look at the channels. Now, customer relationships. Okay, these are the relationships that you build during your entire customer journey, not just the buying. Okay, it's acquisition, retention, upselling. So that is the in the customer buying journey there are 5 different specific behaviors of a customer. Okay, that will come into picture. But how do you maintain the relationship with the customers during the entire customer journey is what this block represents. Okay, and different categories of customer relationships. You can have a personal assistant, dedicated personal team, self-service, SaaS model, automated service. Okay, there I think you can look at this because with the time constraint, you can actually look at the strategizer model that you come to know. As I talk, these are the 5 different stages of a customer journey, like awareness, consideration, decision. This is where uh, buying journey also helps you. And then the next two comes in is a retention and a loyalty. Okay, retention means you are there is also a term called churn in a lot of startups. When you go to pitch, the investors will ask you, what is your churn? Okay. And this is normally will be asked for a B2C kind of a business model of your startup. Is what is your churn? Tell me how many customers you acquire, but you lose them after the first buy or a second buy or third buy. Okay. So what is your churn percent? Or how what is your retention, which is exactly opposite of your churn? If your churn is 20%, your retention is 80%. So 80% customers that you acquire, you continue to retain them for a period of 2, 3 years or something. Now, after retention, at some point in stage, the customer gets into a loyalty and advocacy, where customers start liking your product so much that they become your reference customers. So they talk about your product. They themselves bring the customers to you, new customers to you. They advocate about your product, and that is the loyalty. I think you can actually, if you are a B2C customer segment, there are different ways you can do a loyalty, advocacy, and retention. There is, I think you must have heard about this. Whenever you go through Uber, you rate a customer, okay, and based on the that rating, you can actually define whether customer is loyal to you and whether customers will advocate for you. There are multiple ways you can actually develop these relationships that I think Dr. Kale might cover some of these parts. Okay, then come to revenue streams. There are multiple types of revenues you can generate. Your startup can develop the revenue models. Okay, if you look at it, the major types of revenues, major buckets in which the revenues are divided are a transaction based, service type revenue, projects revenue, and a recurring revenue. Transaction is like just a one-off transaction, okay, which is like you buy something on Amazon and that's a transaction. That's a revenue that Amazon gets part of it, which is a commission-based revenue. That's a part of a transaction. Service revenue is you provide a particular service to a customer, like you have your AC, fridge, electronics items, their maintenance service. Your startup is providing a maintenance service to all these guys. Okay, so that is a service revenue. Whenever they go, you can either have a multi-visit service revenue, or you can have a individual specific ad hoc visit service revenue. Projects revenue is a one-time revenue. You pick up a project like an IT industry where they pick up a project. Okay, that's a one-time project revenue. Recurring revenue is more like your AMC, annual maintenance contracts, or you have a 5-year AMC with somebody. So that's a recurring revenue will come in for 5 years. Okay, that's AMC's kind of. These are the major revenue models. But there are different revenue streams like asset sale. So actually, you are selling a product. Usage fee, where you are pay as you use. Okay, pay per use. That is like AWS. You pay only for the servers and only for the infrastructure that you purchase. Okay. Then rent lease. These are some of the now. This is I think I would love to you all to look at this businessmodelnavigator.com website. Okay. There are 55 business models which can help you to actually define your revenue model. What is your revenue stream or business model? Okay. Look at this. I think it's very well explained in each of these different type of business models that you can have. Let me see. Okay. We'll come to big quickly. I think this is well understood. This the backend side is not that critical, except the partnerships. Key resources are the resources that you use to deliver your value. Who can help you to this thing for your value proposition, customer channels, and your customer relationship. The key resources could be physical, like your assets, this thing, your capex, the financial resources, the intellectual resources, your all team members and human resources, the digital resources like hosting and cloud services. Your key activities will be actually the activity that you perform to deliver your value proposition. Okay. Suppose you are developing a software platform, then actually developing the software platform, testing the software platform, the R&D, the supply chain management, and the network management. Some of these are key activities. The partners is one important aspect that one needs to look at it. Okay. The partnership is when a lot of times the startups do not have the entire capability in your team. So, but you need those capabilities for taking your for going through your startup journey. So what you do is you work with the partners who will provide you that service as an external partner or outsourced partner. Okay. So a network of suppliers and partners to make the business model work. Okay. So mostly this is when you do not have those capabilities inside your team. So then you need to define who are your key partners, suppliers, and this thing. Look at this. These are the 4 type of partner relationship: buyer, supplier. Okay. Uh, and a great example is auto ancillaries. Okay, they are the partners who are suppliers for the auto ancillaries for any Maruti or a Tata company, those manufacturers, auto manufacturers, and they buy those products. Okay, strategic alliance, but strategic alliance can happen only between 2 non-competitors. So if your product, both partners, their services or products do not compete each other, okay, then you can have a strategic alliance, which is kind of extended arm. You can look at it as a partner. Cooperation. So you can build a product together. Okay, even though you have a competitors, you can actually define areas where you will build both of them, and you go to the market as a joint company. So that's a cooperation. And joint venture, again, this kind of little bit similar, but a minor difference in each one of these. But these are just to understand the concept of partners is something outside of your context of your team that you reach out to, who help you to deliver the value. Cost are all the key, what we talked about, key resources, right? The cost of all those key resources, whether it's a capex, whether it's a cloud hosting, whether it's the people, whether the cost for actually delivering all the 9 blocks, let's put it, all the 8 blocks. Other than the cost, there are 8 blocks, right? The cost of all those 8 blocks is kind of covered in the cost structure. And the last one is these are the different in the one slide. Okay, whatever I discussed, most of these things are mentioned here. Okay, they are listed like type of customer segment, mass market, niche market, segmented, diversified, and some of these. So thank you. Let me just stop sharing the screen. And now we will get into breakout room. So we have about 40-45 minutes for the breakout room. And if any one of you have any questions on the business model canvas, you can always reach out to me on a direct message on a Slack, or write to me, and I will certainly be able to help you out one-on-one.
Thank you, Vijayji. Devdatta, you can create breakout rooms, and the purpose of breakout rooms is we will be able to give more time to each of the startup and their questions. It does turn out that there might be common questions. So before we close the call for 5 minutes, we come back to the main session. And then if there is a common question, Vijayji can explain that, or we can take it up next time.
Devdatta can create the breakout rooms, if anybody has any questions, we can certainly look at it.
Also, I'll just quickly share which breakout rooms you need to join. So while you ask any questions, I'll share that on the screen so you can also simultaneously read it.
So, Vijay, I think you mentioned about the external factors. So, is there a way to keep track of that in some, in a best practice way, I would say?
Sorry, I didn't understand, Rahul, your question. What did you
So,
say?
so one is apart from the business canvas. So, you also
Hmm.
mentioned about the
Oh, yeah,
external
yeah. Those
factors.
external factors which kind of impact your startup.
Yeah.
So, is there a
So
best way
Rahul,
to possible to cover some of those areas?
Yeah.
yeah. So
So,
Vijay, can I attempt giving
Yeah,
some
yeah,
information
yeah,
on
yeah,
that? So Rahul, I'm because I know you work in a fintech industry, I can give you one example. So the external factors, for example, if government is announcing UPI platform, okay, and you get those early feelers, you start getting that where is it heading for, or if you're in a business where you are related to KYC, the central banks will start issuing notifications, and those notifications are pretty early. Okay, or if you look at in Indian context, the mutual funds have been constantly saying in 3 months' time you need to complete your some KYC and the nominations and so on. Could become one of the external factor. Or there is a global change that is happening in finance industry where cross-border payments are going to get into a different norms changing. Okay? So there are multiple ways where you can look at the external factors and you can keep a note of it. Of course, each of the startup will have to study what their external environment is, and I would suggest that you can work with your mentor to find out what those external environments are. Where are you going to get the news about it? Where are you going to get some heads up about it? Because these are the factors which are going to impact your product, or it could impact the way you reach to the customers, or it could impact some other way. I'll give you another example. So I'm working currently with someone. The Swift Alliance has already announced that all of their empty messages are going to get discarded starting 2025. Now they announced this right in the year of 2022. 2023, they are already pushing very hard. So I have a company which was mainly supporting empty message. Now suddenly that company will become irrelevant in 2025 because there are no empty messages lined up there. All they have said is they are going to adapt the ISO messaging. So ISO 20022 messaging format they are going to adapt. Now that becomes an external factor which you need to watch out for, obviously, because then unless you as a company going to adapt the ISO messaging, but then there is already a crowd out there. So ISO 20022 messaging, there are enough companies who have been doing this for a while. Now either you need to see that how are you going to find your space in that crowded market, or you have to find out alternate source of business, or completely changing your entire business at core itself. So these are kind of external things which will impact your overall product, your overall marketing, sales, everything, entire your business. So I think I could
yeah.
just
But
think
I
of
think
that
his
kind of
I
an
think his
external
question
factors.
was more: is there a structured like a BMC is a structured model for 9 blocks? Is there something another structured way to take care of the external factors kind of a thing? Right now, I haven't come across. I might look at it and will let you know. But actually, I haven't come across a structured way to define the external factors.
So
okay.
I hear Vijay sir what you said, but why I was giving this example is Rahul, there is even I have not come as a structured factor to look at the
Right.
external factors, but where it helps is creating your stakeholder heat map. And the moment you identify your external stakeholders, and that includes your regulator, that includes your some other player, that includes, it spans across anything and everything that you may even sense. So even if you sense even once, I suggest generally typically put up your heat map. Those heat maps, then you need to keep revising. That heat map is also a dynamic heat map. So probably every quarter, every month, depending upon the frequency, you need to revisit. If you start revisiting it, of course, it is not extension of BMC, but even those kind of visual diagrams, which you put it on your board in your cabin, board in your office, keep looking at it. It will keep getting you some feelers, and then you know which areas to look for. But I'm very sure that unless there is a situation like a war breaks and then suddenly the gateways are off, right? There you cannot do anything much, because then it is a global situation and something unanticipated. All other external changes are typically not as fast as overnight. They will typically give you a quarter or two before they come and hit you positively or negatively. But you need to always keep it in mind and keep watching for it. Okay.
Okay, let's go
Yeah.
to breakout rooms because the
Hey,
discussions can continue over here for
Yeah.
long, and then we won't be able to spend time with the
So has
companies.
he given the breakout rooms he has mentioned?
Yes,
So
he
Yes.
flashed it. Dev, go ahead, please.
Yeah, do you want me to flash the breakout rooms again?
Yeah, I think it
Yeah,
would be
yeah.
good. Everyone will understand in that case.
The breakout rooms, just go to the room that's in front of your
Okay,
name.
the startups and the mentor, all of them are there.
Yeah.
Okay. So there is a possibility that some mentors might have two startups. Okay, no, most of the mentors have two startups. So and you are possibility in the you cannot be in both breakout rooms. So we have assigned them as per the startups and one mentor for each one of them. We try to map it, but it is possible that you may not have actually, or both your mentors may not be the same. Both your startup or mentors. Okay.
So
My
they,
name is not there. My name is not there.
Who is
Sanjay.
Sanjay Wadke?
Even I don't see my name, Madhav Dapke.
I think there is Viraj duplicated in one.
Is the
So, Madhav, how to access this breakout room?
there is a C column missing actually. There.
Yeah.
Let me try that.
So you will get the breakout room option popped up in the same window. You have to accept it and join. That's how it will happen. Or you can
Okay.
request Dev to make you join in some of the breakout
See,
rooms.
Dev,
But
this
you
is
need to know
happening.
what your breakout room is.
There, this is happening because there are mentors in the second column also. Okay, the G column.
Correct.
Okay, like Madhav and Sanjay might be both of them are in G column.
Okay, so I have also given breakout rooms number here. I'll quickly scroll
Okay.
through this. If you could, each one of you read your names and then join that breakout room, right?
Put it on Slack also, no? Put it on Slack, yeah.
So breakout room is a meeting, separate meeting,
Yes.
Zoom meeting.
No,
Yeah,
no,
no,
it
no,
will
no.
pop
In
up
the
the
same
options.
same
Subset.
Zoom meeting, you break it out in a separate breakout room.
Oh, this will
I
pop
think
up the current Zoom meeting itself.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yes.
So you have to
get the
stay in the
option.
same room. So Mandar, you have to stay in the same room. You will get a
Okay,
pop-up
pop-up.
after Devdatta starts room. You will
Okay,
get an
okay.
option. You have to accept it and go there.
Okay, okay. Simple.
Okay. Yep, got it.
So Sanjay Wadke, Sanjay must be there. Just search for Sanjay, no?
Hey, Dev, that second tab, breakout room allocation, column C is hidden there.
Yeah, that is what I was trying to unhide, but it is not giving me option to do that.
Sanjay is
Just
on.
pull that. Just pull that. Hazala. Yeah.
Sanjay is on a binary.
Sanjay
Yeah.
Wadke, room 5.
And
Okay,
for
and
me,
Madhav, room 3.
Yes.
3. Okay, fantastic.
So now Dev
Sanjay Wadke is in 2 and 5 both. So you might
Yeah,
have-
yeah,
There
that,
is confusion. I am also in 2 breakout rooms, 1 and 5.
So that's the
I
reason.
think
If you're assigned mentor 1, please use that room. Like that is the first preference. Only if your
Okay.
name is not there, then choose the one like in the assignment mentor 2.
Okay.
yeah, that
Thank
will be better option. Yeah, use the mentor 1 room right now, and mentor we'll work on this logistics again next. We'll make it more better next
Yeah,
meeting
and
onwards.
if my name is there in 2 in the column
Yeah,
B,
possible because
no, in column B, my name seems to be in 2 places. So I'll just join the first one, column 13 then. Is
yeah,
that?
yeah, yeah,
Okay, I'll do that. Okay, number 3 then. Okay.
yeah, yeah. And anyway, these startups need to reach out to each of the mentors during the week also. These breakout rooms is more to as a group discussion for 4 startups and 4 mentors together.
All right, so the breakout
Yeah,
room is live, so you can each just go and join your respective breakout rooms.
where
Yeah,
do
and
we see the
I
option?
think agenda today is to know more about each other's, right? Because we don't have an assignment or
Plus
something to discuss.
any
with.
questions like the question was asked earlier, and I'm sure other people have questions. So we may not have been able to address everybody's questions if we are all on the common call or the main session. So in the breakout room, there are going to be 4 companies in each of the session, each of the breakout room. So that way you get more time to ask your specific questions because everybody's situation is unique, and then you may have some specific questions.
There we are not seeing the breakout room option at all.
Correct.
If you click the three dots, it says
No,
more.
no, it is not there. That's
No,
why
we
I'm
It's
don't
not
have.
there.
Okay,
Yeah, it
let
is not there.
me restart.
just check it out because normally you
Yeah,
should get
last
it
time
there.
we were looking the breakout. This has the option. Now I can't see in the Zoom.
Yeah.
Oh,
Let me restart.
Hey, Devdutt, also make somebody, couple of people co-host.
Yes, I'll do that.
That was actually my our question. Where is the breakout section separate?
so
Because
it is
I
not.
thought
It is
only
in the same. Normally we used to have the
नाही,
same
chat
Zoom.
मध्येच पॉपअप व्हायला पाहिजे मंदार.
Yeah,
correct.
हा, ते झालं नाहीये काही आता तरी.
Are you able to see it now?
Not
Not
yet.
yet.
Not yet.
No, I'm not able to see it.
No, not yet.
Okay.
Normally you get a pop-up breakout room. Go to your breakout room.
Give me 1 minute here. Let me read.
Is that something to do with recording is going on and it doesn't allow?
No.
Okay.
No, nothing
No,
like
it does.
that.
Last time it had given, so there's way out of working.
So are you able to see it now? I restarted it.
Not yet.
Not
No.
yet.
Okay, the other while you work
Shall
on
we
this,
rejoin or something?
No. We don't need to.
No, just stay here.
Zoom
Yeah,
version.
let's go with the common questions, guys.
Yeah. Let's we'll go with the common question. So just to complete that question from Rahul, I think heat map could be one option, and the different parameters what I listed down, which is like a globalization, the regulations. You can put a heat map of all these different factors, and that might be a best place. Keep looking at it regularly.
Yeah, it is actually more like if you look at your driving lesson stuff 101 on that one, where you're looking at hazard mapping. So as you go across, you need to look at hazard mapping as a part of your journey. It's not a static stuff that you look at, and you basically describe each and every hazard that's possible. It may or may not have an impact on you, but you note it down. In that case, then you get that heat map generated automatically to say, okay, this which we had ignored as a hazard at some point of time can come back and become a big problem. So you need to have that understanding where in the journey, what sorts of things, and sometimes it can be left field as well. So what may not be an hazard, what may be a cooperative stuff. Typically, like example, I'll give you stuff. Oracle is now looking at document management directly into its own stuff, wherein it's converting. So EDI is gone out of the window. The EDI vendors, basically, which were the glue between your ERP packages and Oracle, is no longer there, because Oracle does it all in-house in their own, and they do it in their system. So that is something that who was your partner or who was your cohabitant entity suddenly becomes your competitor and takes away your business.
Okay, I think in the three dots, if each one of you look at the three dots, you will see the join breakout room.
Yeah.
Where is the three
So we'll go to our respective join.
There are three dots, right? If you select three dots, you will see join breakout room.
Yeah, now can see. Yeah, okay.
Okay, so let's go to our respective room then.
Yeah, and those who cannot, please one-on-one chat with Devratta and see.
So I'm on the two startups are there. So which one I should go? Room number 5 and 3 also.
Go to the any one of them. I think for the time
Okay.
being, go to anyone.
Got it.
Three. Mahadevji, 3.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you, Viraj.
I can't see your three dots. Where are the three dots?
On the bottom.
You can directly see the breakout room down now.
Okay, down.
Yeah.
Where is that? I don't see it.
On the toolbar. Yeah.
So where you have all these options to mute, stop video, right? At the very end, it's more option.
Mute, rename वगैरे. More options कुठे आहेत?
I'll put you to room to Sudhirji.
Okay, yeah, but it's just good to know
Yeah, so wherever you have the share, right? Share screen. So just keep going on the right hand side of it. On the right of share screen, you'll have summary, AI companion, reaction apps, whiteboard notes, and then more.
Options, breakout room. So yeah, got it.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Which one is for Kinostic Solutions? Sorry.
Kinosis Tech Solution.
Yeah, Kinostic Solutions.
Room number 5.
It's 3.
5.
Five.
Yeah, because somewhere it says 3 and I think there were 2 different things. So I'm just checking.
Oh, CYNOTICS. Yes, 5.
5?
Come on. Yes, 5. Room 5. Who else? Kamakshini, which company are you from? Or are you a mentor?
Hello.
Yeah.
Hi.
RXM. Okay, RXM. I don't see a company. Yeah. Our Zoom Healthcare Private Limited. I don't see that name. Did you register with another name?
Is it Sapphire X Surgical?
Sapphire X Surgical, room 2, please.
Yeah, correct. Yeah. Hello.
Yeah, you are in room 2.
Yeah, you can select a room 2. You go to more. On the bottom, you will see an option, more,
Okay.
in breakout, and you can select breakout room 2.
Breakout rooms. Okay, got it.
Yeah, Nikhil, which company do you belong to?
Nikhil is one of the organizers.
Mentors?
Yeah.
Okay, so where does Nikhil go?
Nikhil is not assigned any room yet. So,
So
Nikhil,
5.
yeah.
5. Kamakshini, which company?
Kamakshini, can you hear us?
Okay, I will go to my room. I think that's fine.
So Prashant, do you have time after this meeting, maybe with a 15 minutes break in between? You're on mute.
We can have an immediate after this meeting, a 10-minute thing on WhatsApp if that
Okay,
works.
great. Yeah, great. We'll call it.
We can have it immediately because then
Sure.
later I have something else. Yeah.
Okay, good.
Sure.
Welcome back, everyone. Are there any common questions that would apply to everybody? That's probably just like a clarification question. I don't want to end up with a long discussion here. Is there any question that mentors found they came across that?
Actually,
none in
we
breakout
were
room
just trying
3.
to understand the startups and this thing.
Okay.
So it's
Okay.
there, I think. I don't know. That was our breakout room, but maybe other breakout
So
rooms.
same experience, Vijay sir. We had similar understanding on the breakout room 3. No specific questions, but we have requested. Feel free to reach out to any one of us, even during the week, and we have already shared our details.
Okay,
So
excellent. I think
what we
that's
will
pretty
do,
common.
one suggestion is, Dr. Sanjay ji, is we will try to align breakout rooms with the mentors which are there. So I think that we will try to see. So I will Devdatta, I will work with you how we can assign breakout rooms. We'll have common breakout rooms for next few sessions.
So one suggestion is about the contact details, if those can be updated for the mentors as well. So that will be helpful.
Yeah, we can do it on a Slack itself. I think right now everybody has put it on a chat. I saw that.
Yeah, no, I did mention to put it on Slack also. I have copied my details on Slack, so I would encourage everyone to use Slack. That will be better.
Especially for the mentors who are not available in this call. So for them.
Okay, sure.
Okay, any other logistical questions that the cohort companies have today? So just going forward, I mean, today's session, we're trying to accomplish 3 things. One is the introduction to the cohort. Second is introduction to the logistics portion of this cohort in terms of how it's ran and so on. So now you got idea, I think, breakout rooms and what gets discussed over there versus main session and so on. And then of course, Vijayji's presentation on the business model. So with the end of that first session, now in a couple of minutes we'll be there. Vijayji, do you want to talk about or give any assignment based on what was discussed today?
Basically, all of you, those you prepare the business model canvas for your startup. And during the week, if you want to reach out to your mentors and discuss it, that is the best thing. And if you have any in the next week, the breakout room, we will discuss also business model canvas itself. So the prepare the business model canvas. I think some of you might have already prepared it, but again review it, because as I said, it's a dynamic document. So review it, see if there needs to be any change, and then discuss it with your mentors, both mentors. And you can either figure out both mentors together on the call if they can come on the time zone and other things, or you can have it differently, because that way also you can get a different perspective from each mentor.
So today's presentation, the Zoom call video, Dev, are we going to share that with the cohort companies?
Yeah, we'll post the presentation on the Slack channel.
Slack, yeah.
Okay. So please go through that. I know some people joined a little later in the call. So please go through that, and people who somehow could not join today, just encourage all the mentors to go through that one. And then the template for BMC, has that been uploaded, Vijayji or Dev?
No, I will upload it.
Yeah, so there is a particular template like what Vijayji showed in his presentation.
Same strategizer template.
Same
I will upload.
strategizer style BMC template. So use that one. Again, I'm sure for your businesses you have used something as a foundation, but this template will allow you to systematically go over this business model. Now we'll discuss the other VPC portion as well. But you start inputting each one of those, and within weeks, you will have a very nice, completely business model canvas developed. So for now, based on the discussion that was done today, please try to fill in that portion with respect to your business, right? So that's the discussion that we'll have in the next week's breakout room.
Okay.
The way
Sorry, go ahead. Continue.
Yeah, the way these sessions are planned, initially I showed the schedule for all the 16 weeks. Because there are Christmas or holidays coming in, a lot of people traveling around the year end. We plan to do the first 3 sessions, which is today's sessions and 2 more next 2 weeks, which are going to cover BMC and VPC customer related portion. That's the front end portion of that. We'll cover that, and then you will have more time to complete the assignments as well. But please plan to complete your assignments every week, because in the breakout session for the next week, the assignments from the previous weeks are what will get discussed. So today we try to keep it generic just to get to know the companies and so on in the breakout rooms. But going forward, that structure will be there. The breakout rooms will be focused on assignments from each of the companies and your questions related to that presentation or the previous presentation.
Just to add, Dr. Bhandari, I have a couple of things. One is next week session is going to be, Madhav, you will cover design thinking and customer design, right? And
That's
I
correct.
think, yeah, and then instead of VPC, we will see if Dr. Sudhir Kale can cover customer journey, job to be done. Because I think last time we had done that swapping. I think it will be good if we can cover that first before VPC.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. So we'll do
And
that.
I think that is
then,
logical as well.
yeah, and then we will do VPC maybe after in January. Okay, that might be a.
Okay, sounds good. Okay, so I think any quick questions from
I
the
have
core
one
companies?
question.
Yes.
I have one question to Vijay ji. Vijay, we discussed that the entire business Canva has to be dynamic in nature. Now,
Right.
if that's so, then how do we timestamp the business canvas? Because we will be versioning it, right, over a
Right.
period of time. How do
Right.
you maintain ideally those versions so that we can track the changes effectively? Because
That any version control mechanism you can do it version 1, 2, 3 like that, or this thing. And normally, lot of times when you review business model canvas, you will realize that there are holes in the relationship between the blocks. Okay, you might have a hole in the customer channel, how you reach out to channel. So you plug that hole, you update that. You might have your customers have given a feedback that the relationships have a concern. Okay, you plug that. There could be a completely different value proposition, and that's what happens when pivoting. Now you would have heard of pivoting, right? A lot of
Yeah.
startups pivot their idea itself. So that is you change the value proposition itself, because you realize that what your current value proposition is not exactly fitting what customers are looking for, or there are business challenges and you want to pivot the idea. So then it will completely change. Normally, I will suggest to the entire startup founders here, try to revisit your business model canvas, keep it review every couple of months or 3 months at least, just to look at it, whether it's what your thought, whether it is as per the working as per that, or is there something you need to refine or revise, and then keep revising. So, and you can keep as much versions, like any version control is a better option. Just version 1, version 2 with a date will also be helpful.
Thanks.
Okay, we'll take one last question and then we'll end today's call.
Hi, Sushant here. A slightly far-fetched question, but startups from the earlier cohorts, could you share some of the startups we can get connected to them? Of course, from a network perspective, but mostly we would definitely want to understand what really worked for them and think from that perspective also, so that we get maximum out of this program as well.
Okay. Actually,
Sure.
one of the startup from the previous code also is part of this cohort itself.
Okay, great.
Rahul is part
Yeah.
of the previous cohort, and
Yeah, so you can offline connect. In fact, last year's cohort companies created a group, WhatsApp group amongst themselves. So they
Okay.
would discuss things and so on. I would encourage you also to do that. And
Sure.
surely we would encourage you to get connected with the previous cohort companies as well. A lot of that information we have posted also publicly in terms of which companies have been there.
Okay. Thank you. Thank
Look
you
at
very
any
much.
of the Garze Marathi videos. Spark Room, for example, from the Garze Room Marathi conference was there. So we presented those companies there.
Yeah, even and on the LinkedIn of Garja Marathi, if you follow that, you will see some of the previous startups, like they have put their videos also, like Event Beef has put their videos, or even Yearbook Canvas has put
Yearbook
their video.
Canvas. Yeah.
You can talk to those people. I think there are some Nadi Tarangani, Dr. Anil Dudhi, and some of these people you can talk to them, and you can always reach out to them. Okay.
That
There
helps.
is there is some question about Abhijit Thosar not being available. I think what we will do is, anyway, we will put up the contact list of all the mentors, so you can reach out to them personally. They are aware that these startups are assigned to them also.
Okay, good. So with that, I think we'll end today's call. I tried to be sensitive to the time that every mentor and every startup companies are putting into that. So we'll start on time and we'll end on time. I think we started 5 minutes late today, so we took extra 5 minutes. So next time, core companies, everybody mentors, please join 5 minutes before the call so that we can get started right at 6:30, and that's productive for everybody then. If you have any questions, please send it out on Slack. Slack is a good medium, good platform where you can communicate with mentors. You can communicate with your other cohort companies, or if you have any questions regarding infrastructure communication, you can talk to Devdatta and Viraj. So if somebody is not receiving email or any communication, please reach out to Devdatta and Viraj and the emails that you have received in terms of that invitation or any past emails. And always connect with your mentors. So even within, sorry, go ahead, Sujata ji. Yeah.
Quick doubt. Is it going to be the same link for per week, each week? Same link we have to come on?
Dave,
Yes.
is it going to be same week?
Yeah, at least for next few weeks, it is going to be same. If it changes, I'll notify.
Thank you.
Okay, good. So with that, yeah, thank you, Sucheta ji. So we'll end this call and we'll meet next week here.
Good.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Have a wonderful week ahead. Bye.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.